tonight. Well, you'll also see on the programme Kate Hardcastle, who's an expert on money and the shopping side of things. Hello, Kate.
Hi there, good evening.
Hi, and Dale Pinnock's here as well, who's the chef and nutritionist on the show. Hi, Dale.
How you doing?
I'm all right. So, look, we spoke to Ranveer earlier on, and these two things, money and food, they're intertwined. So, Dale, I'll start with you first of all. Why are we reluctant sometimes to take a deep breath and assess the way we eat and what we eat and how we eat?
Well, what I found is so many of us seem to have the same kind of boundaries and hurdles in our own mind. Most people assume that it's going to be far too expensive. They think it's going to be bland. They think it's going to be boring, that they're going to have to give up the foods that they love, that they're just going to be eating rabbit food and having to sell an organ to be able to pay for it. And all of these things are absolutely false. And if you kind of think around it differently and get a little bit creative, you can absolutely make a change. You can eat healthier and you can still enjoy your food. And as Kate will certainly attest, you don't have to spend a lot of money to do it.
What are the common mistakes people make?
The big one, I think, is trying to do everything all at once. You see a lot of people that when they kind of get the inspiration to actually start eating a little bit better, they tend to jump head on into a massive lifestyle overhaul. They try and give up everything overnight. They try to go from, eating pizza 5 times a week to becoming like a raw food yogi, like in a 24-hour period. Small steps consistently is the way to actually create that change. Rather than trying to reinvent yourself overnight, just choose one single thing that you can realistically change, one small goal, and then keep trying to do that every single day until it becomes the norm. This could be something really simple, like ensuring one meal a day is a good home-cooked meal. It could be cutting out snacks. It could be only eating fresh fruit between meals, whatever, something small, but that can actually have a profound effect, and just keep practicing it until it becomes the norm. Once you actually have incorporated that and made that habit stick, then choose another goal. And another, and another. And whilst it might seem like baby steps, when you actually look back across 6 or 12 months, you realise that you've been able to change your lifestyle quite dramatically, but in a way that's sustainable and comfortable and very easy to actually slide into.
Yeah. So Kate, the main motivation on Dale's side of things, I guess, for the families are health. But for you, it's savings as well. And I suppose long term, that's equally the motivation.
It's all about the money for me. Yeah, I love actually getting these families to realise just how much they can save in a short period of time. And just to echo what Dale's been saying there, a lot of our work is actually combined, because once we reevaluate the diet, we can reevaluate the shopping as well. A lot of this is about small steps. I always call it economy drive to failure, because you have that zone where you go, right, we're going to get the plastic lunch boxes out of the cupboard. We're going to fill them with salad leaves. We're going to take them to work every day. We're having beans on toast every night, and we're going to save money. And you just become really miserable and say, oh, this isn't going to work for us. And then they go and you splurge even more than you would do normally, because you're trying to buy out of misery. So we've got to make sure that we do sensible steps that are there for lasting change with these families and ourselves. Every time we do this program, and I'm sure Dale will say the same, we remind ourselves of each other's tips, and we actually do good for our own families as we sort of reevaluate how we're doing, because it's easy to fall back into habits when you're time pressured. A lot of this comes from distracted, time pressured people who just think they're doing the right things, but actually when we look at it, they're probably not.
Yeah, planning helps. So look, between you both now then, can you just give us a little taste of what you do on the programme, in the sense of combine now for us to just give us a few tips?
Well,
wow, you go for it, Kate, you go for it.
Okay, well, I will say very quickly, my top 3, there's never been a more important time to get hold of your finances. So if you get bills and put them in drawers, or think you know what your interest rates are, but actually it's a long time since you visited them, I'm going to ask you to spend half a day of your time sitting down as a family and actually working through your finances. It sounds like hell, but after that half a day, you will feel rejuvenated, you'll feel empowered and in control. Pay off things with, higher interest rates first. I know that sounds obvious, but people don't do it. Understand your quantities when you're doing your supermarket shop. They're available on the shelf, they're under the price, but make sure you know what you're paying, because one of the things we'll see going forward now with this impending recession is we'll see a lot of shrinkflation, which is where you get less product for the same amount of money, but you actually probably don't realise it in your supermarket shelves. And don't be distracted. Whenever you're doing the online shopping and you week by week shopping, don't think, well, it's 30 quid, 40 quid, whatever. those small amounts really add up. So really make sure that you're alert and you're thinking, this is my cash, I've worked hard for it, and I'm actually not going to be distracted. I'm going to be completely focused on the job in hand.
Yeah. And Dale?
I would say one of my biggest tips would be give your favourites a facelift. So many people think that they have to give up their favourite foods when they're actually starting to eat healthier. I say, why on earth would you want to do that? Why would you want to give up the food that you love? Just learn how to tweak it to make it healthier. So if you like pizza, fantastic. How about making one? Get like a multi-grain packet bread mix, add the water, roll it out, and then put your own toppings on it. You'll see tonight we've actually found an interesting way to get the fussy eaters to eat vegetables without even knowing it, because we've built it around one of their favourite meals. If you can actually make the food that you love just that little bit healthier, you'll be able to stick to it, and you won't feel miserable if you were just sitting there eating salads. So that's my number one, definitely.
Dale, if I let you have a route in my cupboard, and or most of us, most people listening to this, would we be shocked, do you think, to find the kind of stuff that we are eating? Because we all kind of assume, I think, that as long as we don't have a massive lattice pork pie every night, we're doing okay. But do you find horrors in most cupboards?
I do. I mean, when you kind of do look deeply into what you find in a lot of processed food, it can be quite shocking. But I think it's really, really important that we never get into the kind of blame game, which certainly has come in the past when we've seen programs about nutrition and things like that. There's been a lot of finger wagging and like, what on earth are you eating this rubbish for? Not many people actually really, one, have the knowledge to be able to dissect a food label properly, two, the time to walk around the supermarket and really read every single thing, and often the inclination either. So I think really it's like a process of education just to help people make simple decisions. That doesn't mean that they have to spend hours and hours and hours on their shopping trip, just to help them gravitate towards better habits. I think most of us would be quite shocked if we looked at everything that was in a lot of the packaged staples. But I always bring it back to a very, very simple phrase, like the foundations of eating a good diet. It's like, if it ran, swam, grew, or flew, then eat it. Everything else leave behind. Mm. Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that's kind of in the packets that
the process
will still
stuff.
be, it's fine now and again, but it certainly shouldn't be the foundation of our diet.
We mentioned you two were coming on right at the start of the programme, and Linda got in touch and sent us a text, which I read out actually, but I want you to hear her story in person because it's quite interesting. Linda in Berkshire. Hello, Linda.
Hi,
welcome to the programme. So you, I can't really work out from the text I read earlier on whether your husband wanted to lose his weight or you wanted him to lose it. But either way, a bit of both, I think, Linda, really.
Well, it doesn't. I think you're right there. But more importantly, it wouldn't have mattered. If I had wanted him to lose weight and he hadn't wanted to lose weight, it would have been a pointless exercise.
Yeah, no, exactly right. You've got to have the motivation. So, Linda, go on. What did you do?
Well, we did the soup diet, which is if you take soup on day one, we'll come back to what that is, 3 days normal food, soup on day 5, 3 days normal food, and then soup again. That's it in a nutshell.
Right. Is there some magic secret to the soup? Because you mentioned we'd come back to it. So what did?
No. If you knew about my cooking, there's nothing magic about it. It's very simple. It's vegetable soup.
Right. Homemade.
So it's homemade vegetable soup. Big pan, courgettes, leeks, carrots, beans, peas, mange tout, tinned cannellini beans, anything that looks a bit past its put on the plate by date that's veggie.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'm almost thinking Kate and Dale might want to give you a standing ovation. Before we go any further, Dale, that sounds right up your alley, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, really, this is very similar to the good old intermittent fasting. We might have seen it called the 5-2 diet. It's a very, very similar principle. Really, it's like every 3 or 4 days there's caloric restriction, and that caloric restriction can have some quite interesting positive long-term benefits on many aspects of metabolic health. I mean, obviously that caloric reduction is going to lead to a weight loss, but it's the way that it's actually delivered rather than kind of starving yourself every day. That one day every few days where you drop calories drastically can actually switch on some quite interesting genes that can help us to burn fat more effectively and this kind of stuff. So there's a lot of evidence behind it. behind it. You look at the popularity of things like the 5-2, and you'll see that there's definitely some sound mechanisms there.
And this idea of baby steps, you said don't do it all at once, so that's quite good, just doing the odd day. And Kate, that idea of just chucking all the stuff you've got lying around into a pan will save you money.
Well, the thing I love was this idea that if it's looking nearly past it, and I just so happy because best befores drive me absolutely mad. Best before doesn't mean don't eat it after that day. It's some clever marketing, try and get you to get more stuff in your fridge. So please make sure that smell test is always a really good one, but be realistic about the ingredients. Use your common sense. Work out that if you've got a couple of days left on something, if you can't use it in one of Dale's recipes, or in something that you can make for a family tea, then get it in the freezer, get the value out of it. We waste so much food, and that's your cash going straight in the bin. And what we do with a lot of these families is show them the equivalent of throwing the banknotes away, and all of a sudden the thinking's very, very different.
Linda, I know from your text earlier on that you said you got a spreadsheet and all that kind of thing, and monitored it. So you're very organised. Does it take that's probably what people need the energy for, to actually form a scheme? Does it take a long time to sort out this kind of thing?
No. Well, actually, it only took a long time because I had a long time to spend on it because of the lockdown.
Yes.
So that was an opportunity because I promise you it wouldn't have been my normal plan of action. But it actually did. It fulfilled two purposes. It filled time. It gave me, it made sure I did a list when I went shopping. And I put the prices down as well because I was interested to see how much I was spending on food. And I could see if the prices changed. So it was a kind of I was going to say a fun thing to do during the lockdown. And I'm still doing it because I think I want to see how it all works out at the end. But from a very practical point of view, it was a question of the basic psychology of it all is most diets are about, if you ask people, it's about feeling hungry all the time, feeling deprived, feeling regulated, high chance of failure. But with the soup diet, it's just 2 days out of 8. And actually, what I don't do with the soup, sometimes people say you should, is blend it. And I didn't because it makes it more chewy because the fibre is still in.
What?
Yes.
I'm not an expert. So by the time you've eaten it and you've digested it, you still feel reasonably full.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a spreadsheet and you're making soup, so it sounds like you're an expert to me.
Yeah.
Golden marks all the way through there.
Just a final point, Linda, though. What about the 3 other days? You say you do normal food. Is that normal?
Oh, yes.
But is it healthy normal food?
Oh, yes. I mean, I up to before Christmas last year, we did get food deliveries that, where you cook, I can't say the brand, where you cook your own meals.
Yeah.
And that was quite, and I'd kept all the recipes. So anything I make, I can make within 40 minutes. It's basic protein, as you would expect, either meat, chicken or fish. And then it's as many vegetables as I can fit around the plate, but also potatoes,
Right.
and celeriac.
How's your hubby? Is he still svelte?
Oh, he is. And I can tell you, yesterday, he got 44 on the golf course.
Oh,
Points.
right. So it's paying off in all sorts of ways. Is it?
Oh, yes.
Is it a new man in your eyes, Linda?
Oh, definitely. In fact, he might even let me sleep in the house now.
Oh, right. Well, hey, every cloud, eh?
I know.
Lovely, Linda.
No, doctor's happy with him too.
Brilliant. Great to speak to you, Linda.
Okay.
See you
Thank you.
later. Bye-bye. Okay. Bye. Kate and Dale, a lot of people text in. The 2 texts here kind of sum up why we wanted to talk about this today, because we're all emerging from lockdown in one way or another. And Jay in London says, everyone I know is now a fat alcoholic. Why pretend otherwise? which is one take on it. But Maria says, I've lost 12 pounds in lockdown. Don't deny yourself. Just have smaller portions of the bad stuff. So this is as good a time as any is kind of the point I'm getting to, Kate, to reassess it. We've all been through the same experience and time. And like Linda said, we've got time to think.
Yeah, it is time to think, and we dedicate that time to other things too. But if we make something feel like a chore, if we make it feel like we don't want to do it in advance, it's never gonna get to the top of the list. So it's like anything in life. on your to-do list, make sure the things that are right at the bottom get moved to the top. So get all the bank statements out, get all your credit card statements out, get to know them, get to understand them, try and evaluate the jargon, go online if you need to, check things out there too. There's a lot more tools and information now than there was even 5-10 years ago, so you can navigate a lot of this yourself, and there's loads of good free advice out there. But if you're in control of your finances, so many things will fall into place. It's a little bit like when you get in control of your body as well, with your health and your fitness. And I think what's really important is, as we go into these harder times, we've got to make sure that we are in charge of that destiny, to make sure that we've got the good foundations there. We need to know where we can cut back, even if we don't do it right now. What I'm worried about is a lot of people are feeling flush right now. They've not been paying for the train fares or the petrol, or they've not been having the coffees on the way to work. And it looks like there's a good amount of money in the bank, but if someone like me is always going to say, don't then just rush and spend it because you're dying to get out there and flash the cash again. See what you can do with it, see where you can invest it, see how far you can make it go.
Just before we go, this text is interesting, but many years ago I used to do the Late Show on 5 Live, and Eddie, who used to push my buttons through the glass, once told me that he has a menu on his kitchen wall for all the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and he knows what he's having for tea every day that week. And I'd never heard of that before, and I persuaded all the listeners to eat Eddie's tea for a week, so we all lived off the same menu. And this text here says, make a weekly list of your menus, buy and cook seasonally. So that's planning again, Dale, but there's no surprises. You know on Tuesday what you're having for tea on Friday, so that's the downside. But I guess that's the way of controlling what you eat.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that we always do with the families that we work with. We give them a notice board. We give them a board with the days of the week on there. And I will say, make a plan. When you go shopping, only shop the plan. That's it. Then you're not going to deviate. It's. I mean, in the early stages, it's very helpful. I mean, probably when you've been eating healthily and taking better care of yourself for a long time, you're probably not going to want to live like that. But certainly when you're in that transitional period where you're trying to make the change, but you're also trying to push away some of the negative habits like snacking on chocolate and having all the kind of rubbish that might be in the house. If you've thrown all of that stuff out, if you're only purchasing the things that are there to make the recipes on your weekly planner, then it's an easy way to actually stay in the game in the early stages. So yeah, it can be really useful. And also with someone like Eddie who's going to be busy and doing crazy shifts and things like that, you don't want to think too much about what you're actually going to be buying. If you've already got it planned out, then it just is one less thing to stress over.
Ian says, if you want a really good tip, get an allotment. That helps you eat better food. And Rob says, he's enjoying the diet advice. I lost 3 stone in lockdown just by changing my eating habits and taking more exercise, which is kind of what we're talking about. To end, Dale, a specific question here from David, who says, I've been told by my doctor that my blood sugar is slightly above normal threshold, but not diabetic. I'm not overweight. Any tips on food to reduce levels of blood sugar? Should I reduce carbs? And if so, how? Any thoughts on that?
Yes, there's a couple of ways around this, and people can respond very, very quickly and very effectively with these changes. The first things is swap the white for brown. So all of your staple carbohydrates, bread, pasta, rice, those kinds of things, yes, do decrease your portion sizes of those a little bit, but make sure you swap over to the multigrain versions. These take much longer to digest, and because they take much longer to digest, it means they liberate their stored sugars much more slowly. So instead of getting carpet bombed, your blood sugar is drip fed. So that in itself can have a big influence on what overall blood sugar levels will be and how blood sugar levels will behave. Then if you take that step further, and every time you eat, look at your plate and think, where is my protein coming from? So let's say breakfast, you could have a slice of multigrain bread with a little bit of sautéed spinach and some scrambled egg. Lunch could be a little piece of cooked chicken, could be a salad, it could be like some quinoa or some brown rice in the evening. It could be some sweet potato wedges, it could be a piece of fish, and it could be some steamed greens, whatever. I know that's probably not the most exciting thing. I'm just kind of pulling some things from the sky. But that principle of making sure that your day-to-day carbohydrates are the real slow-burning ones, the ones that aren't going to flood your blood sugar like the refined white bread, white rice and white pasta and those kind of things will do, and ensuring there's good quality protein, but it will basically create meals that drip feed your blood sugar and will bring it back down within a healthy range without going on any kind of crazy crash diet.
Good stuff. I hope that helps, David. Dale, Kate, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
It was a pleasure.
Good to talk to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look forward to watching you on The Box tonight. Kate Hardcastle and Dale Pinnock, who are in Eat, Shop, Save on ITV tonight.